Tim with Ace Appliance in Toledo, Ohio, and welcome back to another in-home diagnostic video brought to you by ApplianceVideo.com. Alright, so we are on a Whirlpool microwave that is not heating, and what we did first of all was put on a split line cord so we can attach a amp clamp, and we're going to do it on the power line. And we have our meter all set up, so we're going to put a full glass of water inside of there and set the cook time for 2 minutes and watch our meter. If everything is good, this would, while the Magnetron is firing, be about 11 amps or so. So when we hit start, we just watch our meter and we can see it's only at about 2 or 3. So that means that we're probably not getting power to the Magnetron itself. So we're going to start with the switches and check those out first. Okay, the tools you'll need for this repair are a common Phillips screwdriver, a pair of needle nose pliers, an amp clamp, a service cord so that you can get a good amp clamp on there, and a digital multimeter or volt-o-meter. Okay, to gain access to the switches, they're behind the control panel, and we are going to take off the grill cover. They always seem to come off easier if you open up the door, just like so. And then there's one more Phillips screw holding the control panel on. That gone, we can now lift up and gain access to our switches. One of the first things that we're going to do is just set our meter to AC voltage and put our leads on the main power relay. And what we're looking for is 120 volts, which we do have right now. And we're gonna close the door and set a cook time just for a minute or so. And if that relay is operating properly, we'll watch this should disappear. So it did disappear, and that means that we do have a good relay and all our switches are good. So we know that we have a bad Magnetron and diode assembly. Okay, so to access our switches, which are located right around in here, for ease of everything, we're just going to take off all the connectors for the circuit board, and they're all different, so you can just take them all off and replace them easily. And I'm going to take my needle nose. On most microwaves, the terminals have a little pin on them to depress so that they come out real easy. Otherwise, you'll be yanking on it like crazy. So once that is, all the connections are removed, we'll just slide this guy on this hook a little bit out of the way and remove the ground connection. And we're going to remove this access cover. So with that guy gone, we'll unroute the wires, and now we have full access to our switches. Alright, so we have access to our switches, and there are 3 different ones. There is a primary, a secondary, and a monitor switch. The primary and secondary switch test the same, and the monitor switch is exactly opposite. So what we're going to do is just put our meter on the ohms reading to check for a closed switch. Right now we're on the primary interlock switch, and it is completely normally open. So when we close the door, we should hear this beep if the switch is good. it is, and when we open it, it's not, so we know that the primary interlock switch is good. And we're going to test the secondary in the same way. Alright, so now we're on the monitor switch, and the monitor switch being exactly the opposite. With the door open, that should be closed, and when you shut it, it will open electrically. And that these switches are basically in there to make sure that the microwave cannot operate with the door open. Alright, so now we're on the secondary interlock switch, and that one tests just like the primary, which it's normally open until you shut the door, and then it electrically closes. So all of our switches are good, and taking the measurement on the power relay proves that as well, that we have 120 volts there. Normally, if you have a bad switch, that voltage is not present at all. So we know that we have a bad mag and diode. Alright, we're going to button this guy back up, and we're just going to route our wires first here, the same way they were, and slide this little cover back in. And at that point we can mount the top part and get our screw ready for the bottom. And it's kind of easier just to get this started. And now we can wiggle this little latch at the bottom part in. If you do it at a little bit of an angle, it seems to go in there a lot easier. And now we can just reconnect all our little connections here. Like I said, they're all different sizes, so you can't really put them in wrong. As long as you can see where they go, they'll go in there. So we got all those back in, and we'll just put this. There's little clips and holes on the side. We'll just line that up, and once it's in there, push it down to fully seat, and we'll put our mounting bolt in there, and then we can take our grill cover. Always easier to put it on with the door open, and get it in the two little slots at the bottom. At that point it'll line up nicely, and we can reinstall the screws on the top. Always be careful on those, because they're all plastic and they all have the ability to break very easily. And then you got a loose grill cover. Alright, so we're all back together now. Thank you for watching another in-home diagnostic video brought to you by ApplianceVideo.com.